Hello everybody and welcome back to the channel. We're here at Aquino Tank Weekend at the Ontario Regiment Museum, and I'm here with Mike, who's going to tell us a little bit about this really strange camo pattern on this Sherman that I can't say I've ever seen before, and I doubt a lot of you have. So do you want to go ahead and introduce yourselves, tell us a little bit about yourself, and then about what is going on with this Sherman?
Okay, my name is Mike Rashad, and I'm the restoration manager here at the museum. And this crazy camo pattern is actually the last camo pattern that the Canadian Forces had on their Shermans. And basically how it worked out was that the last regiment to have Shermans as they were phased out was the Ontario Regiment, and they had them into the early 70s. And the reason why they were able to keep them going is when the Canadian military defunded the Shermans, Ken McLaughlin, the founder of General Motors in Canada, was the honorary colonel of the regiment. And when the guys were done at the end of the season, because they're General Motors tanks, he would have them bring them down to the GM plant, which is at the other end of Stevenson Road, and he'd run through the plant and refresh them. So for his 100th birthday in the early 70s, there was 4 of these left running, and they were going to do a drive past his house for a parade. So they came up with this camo pattern, and so the last 4 remaining Shermans, again in the Canadian military, had this camo pattern. We have a member here who was actually 19 at the time and was in this tank for the parade. And when we painted it, we had to try to find pictures. And the pictures we had all kinds of pictures, but we didn't have pictures of the backs. We weren't really sure how the camo went across the back. So we were just going to guess it. And then we found out that this gentleman, Glenn Hines, was in the tank, and he said, "Oh, let me ask my dad," because he took all kinds of pictures of me in the parade, and we actually found a picture of the tank in the parade, so we were able to do the back. Basically, the guys just kind of did it in the shop. He said that the warrant just came up and just took a marker and went and drew the marker on it and said, "Okay, paint this color, paint this color, and paint this color." So this tank is 11 Alpha Warlords, and it's basically the last tank that the Canadian, it's a replica because it's not the original one. It's one we had here, but it's painted up in the scheme of the last Canadian Sherman tank in the Canadian Forces.
Oh, that's a really cool story, and it's really cool to see how long the Canadians kept these in service, especially considering that, like you said, that they're basically sticking them through into the plant to keep them running just because of one guy who was just like, "Hey, bring them right in. We'll clean them up for you."
And unfortunately, like the year after that, he passed away. So that was the end. There was no more funding to run these Shermans. So,
well, at least he was able to see them one last time in real good formation,
absolutely.
Cleaned up, a special camo just for him. I'm sure he was very tickled with that.
And the great thing about it is with the Shermans, is because they're such a tough tank, they were a really good training tank for training new drivers. So, we have people come in the museum all the time that were in the 60s, were cadets, and they said that's how we learned how to drive standard, was on these tanks as cadets. He said we were so tiny we actually had to stand up to push the clutch in to change gears. So anyways, that's the story of Warlord.
Yeah. Well, thank you very much for telling us that, and thank you for all that you guys do here at the Ontario Regiment Museum. I've had a blast, and I hope that I can come back next year or sometime in the future at least.
Oh, so. Absolutely. We're looking forward to seeing you next year.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.